Now, you got a lot of saunas, you've got a lot of buying experience with them. During the time of you buying all these saunas, were there any hidden costs that popped up that you think the viewers should know about?
Absolutely. I mean, I usually pick saunas that are right for my situation, so there aren't a lot of hidden costs, but there's kind of an art to that. That's why when somebody says, hey, what's the best brand for this, or what's the best brand for X, and everyone jumps in there on social media and you get 100 responses, oh, buy this, or oh, buy that. That's not really taking someone's unique needs into account at all. The number one thing is choosing something that's appropriate for your space. So this comes down to both the size and the electrical requirements. If you mess this up, it can be costly. If you have to hire an electrician to put in a circuit, or you can't return that sauna because whoever you bought it from has a terrible return policy, and you have to pay a restocking fee in order to send it back, that's a pretty big mistake that is probably the most expensive mistake that you could make when picking one of these things out. So the number one thing when you are buying a sauna is to do your research. Make sure you understand what type of electrical supply you have in your existing space. Is it upgradable? If you needed to get a quote from an electrician, big point here, get that before you commit to the sauna so you don't have like some surprise. I see a lot of this stuff posted on social media, like, oh, I had a circuit installed for $300 or $400. Yes, some houses can do that. In other circumstances, though, the power panel is on the wrong side of the house, and there's no attic access to the room that you want to place it, or if you have a garage that doesn't have adequate circuits and an electrician has to conduit in a new service for that, that's probably going to be like a $3,500 job. So I'm not discouraging you from looking into figuring out which sauna to get. I'm encouraging you to say, hey, let's double check these things before you commit, before you buy something, before you swipe that credit card, so that you don't have any of these surprises. Because this part is probably the most costly mistake that I see people making.
What about installation, man? I know you talked about, making sure the requirements are good for your house and all that stuff is good. If someone can't, like, you're pretty handy, so you can put these things together. But let's say they get something complicated, like that one sauna we put together that was just a pain to put together.
Screws.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was kicking. Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think it should be its own point, like you're saying, because electrical service and electrical supply is one thing. You could choose a sauna that's large, right? And maybe you're an elderly person, so you can't pick up the boxes or you can't lift the pieces and bring them upstairs or in a basement or take them, wherever you want to install them. So while you don't have to upgrade an electrical service and you don't have that expense, maybe there is an expense that you should allocate toward having handyman or some helpers or some local college kids that want to make extra money or something, right? If it's going to be a large panel sauna that two friends or family members can't help you do. We've got over 700 videos on YouTube. A lot of it's health and wellness sauna content. If you search those, I have some playlists where it's called like infrared sauna assembly tutorials or guides. If you look at those, usually there's a threshold, like a 1 to 2 person, maybe a 2.5 to 3. I can put most of those together by myself, except for connecting the left and right back walls. I need somebody to help me establish that corner on these so that the sauna walls will stand up by themselves, because without that, there's no stability. And I also need somebody to help me put the roof on the larger saunas, because they're too wide for me to stretch my wingspan and kind of like support the roof until it slips down over the walls. So I would encourage you to watch some of those installation videos. Some saunas are a lot more complicated to put together than others, but it'll give you a really good idea of what's involved. And then you kind of know, if you have a 3 or 4 person sauna that you're going to purchase and you're an elderly person or you're not physically able, you're probably going to need some help. So ask around, see what a handyman would charge to install it for you, and then add that to your tab.
Besides the cost of installation, besides the cost of, hidden things that could happen with electrical requirements, I think that a hidden cost that I've seen in you, that is exampled over here, is the health and wellness supplies have increased since you started doing saunas.
I could see how you would say that. Yeah, it definitely lends itself to you bringing more awareness to lifestyle, health, and wellness. But I would argue that that's actually a good thing, because even if you spend a little bit more money by bringing awareness to these key areas, you are thwarting off disease, you're increasing longevity, you're actually improving your quality of life. So even if your pocketbook is a little bit lighter, there's a lot more life in those years, right? That makes a huge, huge difference for you, your family, anyone that's associated with you in your life that interacts with you, because when you're better, everything else is better.
I get that there's a cost to install, there's a cost for electrical requirements if you need that. There's a cost and increased awareness about your health and well-being.
Mm-hmm.
But what about like when you install it, you're running it, how much is that costing? That's gotta be expensive, right?
Man, that's probably the cheapest part. Some people really are worried. I don't live in California, I live in Florida most of the year. And I've got a video from 4 or 5 years ago on YouTube. I think it's titled Infrared Saunas Cost to Run, where I hook up a 3-person sauna to a kilowatt meter for a lady that has an off-grid house, and she was running on solar batteries, and they wanted to figure out if they could power this thing. This video actually became really useful for everyone that lives in California that's worried about power usage, because you can see the kilowatt draw per hour, and then you go and Google your local power rate, and then you multiply the two and you get a number, right? I've got to tell you though, I think running these is the cheapest part. I think it costs me about $12 to $15 a month to run, various saunas. I really don't notice it. And I'm running a lot of different saunas a lot of the time. It depends on, which place you're talking about, which office, which this, which that. But I'm only one guy, right? Even if we have people coming and doing demos, I don't notice a huge overconsumption of power by having these things. But compared to all the points, in my mind, the cost to actually run it electricity-wise is like the cheapest part. It's way more expensive to buy. And I think I'd have to do the math on a calculator, but I mean, if it's $12 a month, $15, even if it's $20 or $30 a month, how much is that a session? I think it's less than $1. So I think, electrical consumption from running a sauna far, far, far gives you more health benefit than it costing, $1 or $2 each time you run it. And that would probably bring me to our final point that we should drive home. How do you compare, obviously, the cost to buy these things, the cost to set them up, the electrical service, the whatever it costs each month to run them. But if you think 5 to 10 years from now, having heat therapy in your life, look at the studies. Look at the benefits that people are getting. Look at the way they're able to detoxify themselves. There's really no comparison. I mean, if you're looking at trading a few $1,000s for increased longevity, better health, more time with your family, being a more effective human, I don't know how you really put a price on that.